Welcome to Stock Investment Analysis. In my last video, I showed you how I use a custom Excel sheet to do research on stocks and compare investments. A lot of people showed interest and some were curious about how long it takes me to set up a sheet like this. The answer is just a few minutes, and I will demonstrate how in this video. I will also review a very useful investment research tool called Finbox in this video. The tools have been great, and I want to show you how this tool can improve your own research and hopefully increase your future investment returns. Before I get into showing you how to add data to an Excel sheet like mine, I want to thank you all for watching my videos, liking, and subscribing. I've really appreciated this, and I love talking to you all in the comments. It's been a lot of fun for me, and I hope you're benefiting as well. Alright, now if you watched my last video, you've already seen this Excel sheet, and this is comparing Walmart and Target on a lot of different data that I find very useful and which I use frequently when I'm doing my investing analysis. The great thing about this Excel sheet is it compares two different companies or more if I want to add more on a lot of useful data, and it does it all on one screen so I can see it all at one time. Now, I'm going to show you how easy it is just to switch these two companies to two others, and in this case we're going to do Pepsi and Coca Cola. Now, if I zoom out for you real quick, you're going to see that I actually have other data down below, and these are three different screeners data that I use to populate the information above. So I'm going to copy and paste it down here. It's going to automatically populate this, and that's it. It's done. So the first one I'm going to show you is Fast Graphs. So I switch here. This is Fast Graphs portfolio screen, and if I look at edit tickers, I can switch them. Now I still have Target and Walmart from before, so I'm going to switch these now, and I'm going to delete these, and I'm going to switch them to Pepsi and Coca Cola. So I update that. I'm going to hit review because I want to take a look at my new portfolio. I copy this and I paste it like that. And next I'm going to do the same thing, but now I'm going to do it for Finviz. So I'm going to go into Finviz. I have Walmart and Target currently in there, but I'm going to add in Pepsi and Coca Cola with Pepsi on top. I copy it, paste it in, and that one's done. Now we're going to do the third one, which is Finbox. So we go to Finbox. We've got Target and Walmart in here again. So let's add in Pepsi and Coca Cola. And now what we're going to do, Finbox actually allows an Excel export option, which is really nice. So I'm going to show you that here. We're going to open it with Excel. Enable editing. Well, we'll just copy and paste this part. And that's it. We're done. So, not hard at all. I'll zoom in here and let you take a look at it. But that's it. Everything's been updated for Coca Cola and Pepsi across company characteristics. All this historical growth information like earnings per share growth, cash flow growth, sales, price performance growth, looking at earnings per share, all the different estimations, different analyst growth expectations, all the data on the dividend, returns, valuation numbers, margins, company safety and stability. It's all automatically populated. And like I said, it probably takes me about 2 minutes typically to update this information. So it's very convenient. It's very straightforward. All right, we're looking back at Finbox. I kind of want to give you an overview and take you through a lot of the features here. I've used a lot of different resources and tools for investment research and comparison, and there's a lot of things in Finbox that I have not seen in any of the others. And so there's a lot I like about this that I think is very unique. The first thing I'm going to show you is probably my very favorite thing, and there's a lot of good things about Finbox, but this is probably my favorite, and it is the number of variables and amount of data available for different companies that you want to research. So I showed you earlier just a moment ago, I use other screeners. You know, I'll use Finviz, I'll use Fast Graphs, and I think they're both great. However, they don't have as much data available. And that's actually why I started using Finbox in the first place. There's a lot of data that I thought was very important and that I wanted to use in my analyses, but they were not readily available in these other screeners. So I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. So first, the great thing is you can add as many variables as you want, as many companies. So that's pretty straightforward. So if I wanted to compare Coca Cola and Pepsi to some other staples that we often will see that are pretty common, and these maybe not have nothing to do with beverages, but they are pretty popular staple sorts of companies. So we're going to add Clorox, Proctor and Gamble, and Kimberly Clark. All right, and then the great part is the amount of variables that are available. So I don't have that many in right now because I was trying to have this focused just for the video that I was making. But I want you to take a look here at the different variables available for valuation. So here's a valuation tab. I'm just going to scroll through this real fast, but there is a huge number of variables for valuation that you can use in your screeners here. These are the information for dividends that are available. These are the variables that we have for risk. This is efficiency. Efficiency is, again, a huge number of variables. And here we have financials. Once more, financials. There's a lot here under financials. And again, I'd say there's probably more data here than any other screener that I'm aware of, at least at this point. These are data variables that we might be looking at for forecasting. Again, there's a huge number. We also have ETF, and they have miscellaneous here. All right. Going on to the second tab on the side here, we have ideas, and there's a ton of different ideas that they have that they can generate for people who are trying to come up with new stock ideas. And the great thing about this, especially for earlier beginners, you may not be aware of what are some good companies to invest in. A lot of new beginner investors that I talk to, their first question is, just give me some names. Who can I invest in? What are some companies that I should be thinking about? They don't even know the first step. So this, if you're looking for ideas, gives a ton of great ideas. You can see here they have a bunch of different portfolios you can look at. So if you want to see what is in Warren Buffett's portfolio, you can click here. What's in Bill Gates's, maybe Ray Dalio. If you want to look at all the dividend champions, there's a huge list of different portfolios. And if you look here at the bottom, there's 165 pages of these different portfolios that you can look at. You can also break them down into sector focus, or if you want to look at maybe just billionaire investor types or just activist investor business types, or investor types rather. And on the side here, you can put some filters on it according to returns, for example, or number of holdings. And just to show you kind of what it looks like, I'll look at Warren Buffett's portfolio right here. So looking at Warren Buffett's, you can see here how it's done opposite of the S&P 500 at a 1 year, a 3 year, and a 5 year basis. We also can see how large the holding is overall. We can see the quarter over quarter value change, and we can see it charted here. We can also look at it on a max level instead of just 5 years. Something I also really like to look at, you can see all of his top holdings right here. Right now it's looking at largest holdings, but you can look at biggest buys, biggest sells, most undervalued. There's tons of different categories you can look at. Highest dividend yields or fastest growing or interesting. You can also see here, one company, Apple, is 35% of its portfolio. So a huge piece is right here. And then another 2 companies make up another 21% of his company. So just these 3 are essentially half. You can look at their sector concentration. Financials and information technology are well over half, in large part because information technology includes Apple. So this 38.5%, 35.5% is just Apple. So you can kind of break down what is he doing, look at the different charts. There's a lot of really useful data. If you look down here, you can see each of his holdings, and then you can look at the different data for it. So what data is most useful to you? What is most interesting? So this can help you break it down. If you want to use their pre-made ones, you can see what they have for projections. And so you'd have to have premium to access this. But you can also look at market view, risk, efficiency, my view, which would be your own chosen variables. The summary, of course, just comes without having that premium subscription. If we go to Screener, Screener is a really fun, really interesting one as well. You can really break down exactly what you want. They have 117,000 stocks from around the world that they're including in this. So there's a huge range of companies that you can research, which I really like. Most of the screeners that I see are usually just mostly US based. They don't have as large of a number. So 117,000 is pretty amazing. This is kind of how it works. So if you want to look at free cash flow yield, you would choose this as your variable. And if you want to be greater than a certain number, you choose a number. And we're looking at this in terms of percent. So we want it to be at least 5%, for example. If you want to see dividend yield, you might say you want dividend yield greater than 3%. And you can choose the sector. So right now the sector is selected to energy, but of course you can choose this to anything that you want to choose. And you can just keep adding variables, like how narrow do you want this to be? What are you looking for? So we had dividend yield, but maybe we wanted dividend growth as well. So maybe we want at least a 5-year compound annual growth rate of, maybe we want double digits or something along those lines. Now, if you look down below, I want to show you something. You can see that we have ExxonMobil, 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 ExxonMobil. It's just ExxonMobil a million times. And you might wonder why exactly that is, what exactly is happening. So the reason is, if you look here, we have a bunch of different regions. We're actually looking at Exxon on a bunch of different exchanges. And so that's why we're having the same thing over and over. So if you only want to look on one exchange, I'll show you how you take care of that. You just choose stock exchange, and maybe you just want the New York Stock Exchange. So if that's the case, you switch it to that, and automatically now there's only one ExxonMobil, and now we're just looking at other companies after that. And again, you can of course choose which variables you want here that you want to look at. You can rank it. You can change any of these things, and again, you are going to have access to all those millions and millions of variables that they have available for different data. So it's a really great screener. I really enjoy using it. It helps generate a lot of ideas if you're having trouble coming up with some. And you can see that just choosing these screeners here, we took 117,000 companies down to 40. So now we can focus just on those 40 if this is where we're trying to focus our investment portfolio. So now we're going to look at Data Explorer next on this tab. Data Explorer is a great way to compare data for different companies, and it also allows you to compare that company against others in its industry. So I'll give you a quick example. We've been talking about Pepsi, so we're going to keep going with Pepsi. And let's say we wanted to take a look at its dividend yield. Actually, they already have it conveniently placed right here. So I'm looking at the dividend yield. You can see it across time, but maybe you wanted to compare it to other things as well. So in addition to just giving you a bunch of data on Pepsi's dividend yield, you can look down here and you can actually automatically compare it to a bunch of benchmarks. And in this case, the benchmarks are other similar companies. So in this case, National Beverage Corporation, Anheuser-Busch, Monster Beverage, Alkaline Water, Coca Cola. So you can compare the dividend yield across all these different ones. Consumer staples here is just the general, the entire industry that they're going to be comparing it to. We have Dr. Pepper here, and then here's Pepsi's. So you can see how Pepsi's compares to all these other dividend yields. And so it's just a really convenient way of comparing everything. Next, I'm going to show you templates. Templates are very cool. I have not seen anything like these templates on any of the other research tools that I've used. So I'm going to show you a few examples. So they have discounted cash flow templates, comparable companies templates, cost of capital, historical financials, earnings power, dividend discount, return on equity analysis, financial ratio analysis. I'll give you a few examples. So let's check out return on equity analysis. So I'm going to download this one. I'll look at it on Google Spreadsheets. So what we're doing right now is we're comparing the company Apple to some of its competitors. So we're looking at HP, Hewlett-Packard, Dell, Pure Storage, and Adobe. And so it automatically lines these all up for us. So we can take a look down here. We can look at Apple compared to all of its competitors and just go all the way down. So return on equity, this is how it compares. Here's the different benchmarks that we're using. What are their net profit margins? What is their asset turnover? What is the equity multiplier? What are the revenues, net income, total assets, common equity, and so on? So there's just a ton of data. They're just lining up for you. You're not going to have to look up all this data on your own. It's just all out there for you, and it's really, really great. Also, I mean, when you're looking up a company, you can see the competitors. You might get great ideas for investing based on these competitors. You may end up investing in one of the competitors instead of the company you were originally researching, and that's awesome. As long as you find that best option, that's what's important. Actually, before I go back, I'll show you real quick. I mean, you can always just change this to anything else that you're interested in. So we've been doing Pepsi, like I said. So if you just switch it to Pepsi, it's going to start changing all the other ones. So let me start doing a couple others. So we've got Coca Cola, right? Another one that we were just talking about. We had Clorox. We had Kimberly Clark. Proctor and Gamble. Let's just do General Mills. And when we scroll down, you're going to see it's automatically been populated, and you have tons of data that you can now explore between these new companies. So it's a really handy tool that you can use. I'll show you one more. I mean, there's a ton of these that you can use. Valuation ratios, credit ratios, profit and return ratios, cash flow ratios. Here's the Ben Graham model. So maybe you're interested in using Ben Graham's model for your investing. They do it all for you. So you don't have to calculate anything. You don't have to set it all up. And not only does it calculate it for you, but it's actually going to also show you how it was calculated. It's going to give you all the data. So if we're looking here at Apple, it can show you already what the value is, what the upside is, and it's got everything calculated, and also explains how it was calculated. So I won't go into this in too much detail, but the data is all there for you. And again, it's just very, very convenient how everything's been set up. The last thing I'm going to show you here is a charts feature. Again, there's a lot of other features that are included with this, but I'm trying to give you just a brief overview, just to kind of give you an idea of the different opportunities and the different features which you can use. But let's take a look here and let's add a metric. We'll use another one related to dividends. We've been doing dividends lately, so let's do a whole bunch of dividends right here. So I want to use all these different dividend compound annual growth rate timelines, and we can just choose a company. Well, let's just go with the ones that we've been using all along. So we're going to go with Pepsi, and it automatically shows us the different growth rates depending on that timeline. So it calculates it for us automatically, which is very cool. But the great thing is now we can compare it without having to put a lot of time and effort into trying to figure it all out on our own. So there's Coca Cola. There's Colgate, here's Clorox, Kimberly Clark, we have Proctor and Gamble here, and then we'll just do one more, which is General Mills. And that's it. So we can compare across all these and get a general sense of how they've been growing their dividend, how fast, which ones are faster, which ones are slower. So you can see across almost all timelines, Kimberly Clark is the slowest. So if that was something that was really important to us, we could just exit out because it's not giving us what we're looking for. Now we're narrowing it down one after another. We might be interested in those that have been growing particularly quickly in the last few years. So if we're looking at the most recent years, remember that's the red and the dark red, we could be focusing on those to see which ones are pretty low. So we might notice here that General Mills is quite low, and actually they have stopped increasing their dividend. So we can just take them off, and you can just keep whittling it down just like this, and it's a really great tool for helping you with your research. All right, well that wraps up our overview of some of Finbox's features. For me, the sheer number of data variables, many of which I have not found on other screeners, is what really sets it apart. However, the ideas page and templates are very cool and unique and not something I've found with other tools I use. I also like the large number of international stocks they include, which makes their screener more internationally useful. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments and I am happy to do my best to answer them. Please subscribe to my channel because I am making new videos for you every week. As always, good luck with your investing.